Welcome to episode 6, and this episode is all about texture. Having that proper hand feel and proper texture not only is something that gives depth and dimension and interest from a design standpoint, so that's more about aesthetics, but it is also something that from a tactile perspective is just really functional and from a practical perspective is really nice. So when you're decorating and you're choosing furniture or you're choosing cabinetry or different lighting elements, consider texture as one of the important tips for you to introduce into your home. So I think that commonly texture is considered an afterthought because it's not a widely discussed topic. You know, when you go in and you choose furniture, or when you go in and you look at a home or you look at a catalog, very rarely do you say, I want something that is made of X, or I want something that feels like X. You usually more look at what is it, how is it going to be used, and then what color. And those are typically the prioritizations that people make without then really considering, what do I want it to feel like? So as with many things, budget dictates a lot. And as you're looking to execute this recommendation, which is all about texture, you may be saying, Eric, I have a limited amount of money, my budget isn't that big, and I want to introduce texture. What's the biggest impact, lowest effort way that I can actually do this? And my recommendation is to do this with either your decorative pillows, which would be on your sofa, or my recommendation would be is to do that with your lampshades in your living room or bedroom. So let's start with your decorative pillows. It's a great way if you want to highlight something that is a little bit more hand done and something that is sumptuous, to be able to have a furry, fuzzy pillow. The great thing with choosing a decorative pillow is they're just that, they're decorative. I have friends who actually change out their pillows seasonally. They go for something that's a little bit more cozy in the winter to something that's a little bit more light and easy in the summer. So my first recommendation, if you're working on a budget and you want to introduce texture, but you want to see an impact and you want it to be meaningful, is to do your decorative pillows. The second one, which is a little bit more of a commitment, is really about lights. So unlike pillows and unlike things that are more larger that you actually sit on or that you lay on, lighting has a texture in it of itself. And that is the actual base of the lamp, which can be glass, it could be metal, it could be chrome, it could be marble, it could be wood. So the texture of the lamp, which is much more of a vertical piece, and then also the lampshade. You can play around with fabric lampshades from linen to lace to velvet to beaded. It's an opportunity for you to get into something that's a little bit more opulent and bold. So don't underestimate the power of a lamp, and all of your texture doesn't have to be things that you either lay on or things that you sit on. It can actually be something that's practical and functional and it's vertical, like your lamps. So for me, the texture that I typically use a lot of, one, it's practical, but it also is aesthetically pleasing to me, is moleskin and ultra suede. I like to eat on my sofa. I don't know if you do as well, but I like to eat in my living room on my chairs. I also like to eat in my office, and it's super durable. It's something that you can drop food on and wipe it up. You can drop drinks on it and wipe it up. But then from an aesthetic perspective, it looks really clean. It holds color very well. It's sophisticated and it's classic. So for me, texture is not only practical, but it's also decorative. And my texture of choice is really centered and focused on my seating moments in my home, and it's typically in the fabric of moleskin or ultra suede. So my recommendation is that you Go bold and have fun with texture. Don't be afraid. There's tons of innovative ways for you to be able to execute texture in your home. From wall coverings, yes, you can actually wallpaper your walls in suede, velvet. You can do it in a ton of different textures, to even wallpapering your ceiling. So it can create a really dramatic moment if you actually hang fabric from your ceiling or if you wallpaper it in something that's textured. So don't be afraid to go bold with texture and do it in unexpected places for an over-the-top dramatic moment. So I have a funny little story to tell you. About 10 years ago, I lived in San Francisco, and I wanted to get a dog. And what I didn't realize is that San Francisco is really particular about their dog laws and how you actually obtain a rescue dog. And so I had said, okay, Eric, I want a Bulldog. And I researched on the Bulldog Rescue Association website, identified a dog that I wanted, and I actually had to get an interview. Can you believe that? I had to be interviewed in my home before I could actually get a rescue bulldog. So on the day of the interviewer comes to my home. She looks around. She says, "Oh, it's such a nicely decorated home. How would you feel if the dog has an accident on the rug?" Well, I never had a dog before, so I thought the right thing to say was, "Oh, it'd be an issue." So then she said, "So what if the dog has an attitude one day and chews up your favorite shoes?" I work in fashion, so she just assumed I had a lot of shoes. And I said, "Okay, that'd be okay. It's understanding those things happening." And I must be honest, honestly, I was like, it's really not okay, but I wanted the dog. So I passed the interview process, and she says to me, "Okay, I have a dog downstairs that I'd like for you to meet." So I go downstairs, I meet the dog. It's this great bulldog. She sort of has this snaggly tooth smile, and her name is Lola, and she's brown, and she has, these beautiful white spots, but one that's placed on her eye. So just really great markings. And Lola gets out of the car, and I start walking with Lola, and then we decide to go up to my house. So we stop at the door, and the interviewer says, "Would you like for me to come in, or would you just like to go with Lola by yourself?" And I said, "You know what? It's okay. Why don't you stand outside? I'll walk Lola in the house." So I walk Lola in the house, and she stops at the door. And I closed the door behind her, and she wouldn't move. And I got down next to her at her level on my knees, and I said, "Do you want a home, Lola? Do you want to live here?" And she licked my face, and she immediately ran, and she ran upstairs. And she had never been to my home before, obviously. This was her first time. And when I went upstairs, she was actually laying on a rug, which was in the bathroom, and it was the bathroom rug. And the interesting thing about that rug is that became her safe haven. My 5 years of living in San Francisco, Lola never gave up that rug. And we created a larger sized dog day bed that ended up moving into the second bedroom that sat underneath the window that Lola spent many days and many nights laying on. And really what it said to me is that texture, if you choose the right texture, it can be something that is truly comforting and something that is warming and something that really allows you to be at ease. And so having that texture in my home helped Lola transition into my space effortlessly. So texture is something that should not be forgotten. Here today to talk to you about style and interior design. Welcome to episode 5, and we are focusing on choosing your impact color today. So this is all about committing to color. And this is so important